When it comes to cyber crime, ransomware takes the top spot. Danny Palmer with ZDNet joining me now to talk about this. And Danny, we've talked a lot about ransomware attacks, what to look for, and how this is happening. But this article here you've put out certainly shows that ransomware is taking over as far as what we need to be most concerned with when it comes to online crime.
Yes, as we know, ransomware has been a problem for a long time when it comes to cyber attacks. These are attacks where the cyber criminals lock down entire networks of organizations and demand a payment in order to for those companies to get that network back. Often these payments can be six-figure sums, so it makes a lot of money. A recent report by cybersecurity firm Trustwave analysed cybersecurity incidents over the past year and found that ransomware is now the most commonly reported incident out there, overtaking credit card theft as in the top spot. Credit card theft has long been one of the top modes of cybercrime. It's simple, really, and does exactly what it says on the tin. The attackers will steal financial data, be it from individuals or companies, and use that for their own gain. But now ransomware has taken that top spot away from credit card theft for the first time.
And when we talk about ransomware, again, Danny, what does it look like typically? And, how do they first figure out something's wrong?
Ransomware is different to other forms of malware in that it's right there in your face. If you've got a ransomware infection, once the attackers have decided to pull the trigger on letting it do its work, you'll know, because your network will be faced with lots of screens with ransom messages saying, "We have encrypted your files, pay us money to get them back." It's usually there's a contact address there in order to get in touch with the attackers, because at the end of the day, they want to make money from this. That's why they're doing it. And they're hoping that organizations are just going to give in and pay that ransom, because in many cases, they might feel that that's the quickest way to restore access to the network, particularly when it comes to places like hospitals or industrial environments, which are reliant on being active.
And so, Danny, when these organizations, say a large hospital chain, for instance, they don't have the luxury of saying, well, we're going to investigate this, or we'll wait a little bit and see what we can do. They have to get access to their files or information in their network right away. So they often end up having to pay the ransom. So, before getting to that point, though, what are some of the things that experts are telling companies, telling organizations that they can do or to be on the lookout for before they get to this point?
One of the simplest things that organizations can do is apply security updates and patches to their networks. We saw a few years ago when WannaCry ransomware hit, affecting organizations around the world. One of the sort of high-profile victims of that, even though this WannaCry wasn't a targeted attack, was the National Health Service here in the UK, where a lot of hospitals found they couldn't access their networks because they'd fallen victim to this particular form of malware. What had happened the previous month is when Eternal Blue was uncovered or leaked, I should say. Microsoft put out patches to protect Windows computers from being exploited by this vulnerability. The problem in this instance, and why WannaCry and many other forms of malware after it spread so far and wide, is because those patches hadn't been applied. So ensuring your network is patched and up to date goes a long way to stopping these attacks from gaining a foothold. Another thing organizations can do is make sure that parts of their network that don't need to be facing the open internet aren't facing it, because in many cases, attackers get in by searching for open ports which they can access from outside a network. Often, if they can do this, they can sort of move around the internal network and basically do what they like, which in this case is applying ransomware to the systems and then encrypting it when they've got all they want to do. Another thing organizations can and really should be doing is making sure that they have offline backups of their network, and these backups are regularly updated, because in the worst case scenario where a ransomware attack does hit, if you have to take your network offline for a day to restore it from, let's say, a version of the network from 48 hours before, well, it's going to be painful not being online for those 24 hours, but you're not having to give in to the victims of you're not having to give in to the attackers who, in order to make the payment. So you're obviously saving money that way. And it means that if people did this, or organizations did this, there'd be no reason for cyber criminals to carry out ransomware attacks, because organizations would be safe. But unfortunately, we're in the position where a lot of organizations are still struggling with IT security, especially now. And it's why cyber attackers are, as we've seen, pushing these attacks more than ever.
Yeah, lots of great information there, Danny. And I know you've got, we have so many articles, of course, and research on ZDNet when it comes to cybercrime, ransomware, and things people need to be in the lookout for. So make sure you check that out on ZDNet. Danny, thanks so much for being with us today. And thank you, everybody, for watching.